Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. As you can probably tell from the title, today we're talking about Victoria 3, and is it actually genuinely confirmed this time? As you probably know, there's been quite a number of memes around the internet that Victoria 3 is confirmed, and most of those lead to, like, troll songs or, rather absurd pictures, but this time it seems like, we're not actually joking, that it is actually a real thing. People have been obviously quite excited about the prospect of a sequel to the legendary Victoria 2, and it seems that whilst it might not be just around the corner, it does seem that it's happening. So, to talk to you more about this, I've brought a friend along whose name is What Hedgehog. Well, not literally, but, in a literal translation, yes. So we're going to take you through a couple of things that we found regarding trademarks and why we think this game is actually coming somewhere in the sort of semi-near future, or at least getting announced very, very soon. So take it away.
Thank you very much. My name is Kai Yish. Some of you might recognize me from the Paradox Interactive communities. And while I cannot with certainty say that Victoria 3 has been confirmed, as the meme goes, I did a little bit of digging the other day, mostly as a sort of mental exercise, and I found a few interesting things I would like to share with you all. So what I first thought was maybe I could find something about what Paradox will be announcing at ParadoxCon 2021, and they did say that they will be announcing something, which was then followed by news articles saying Victoria 3 will be announced in May, maybe, and so forth, in classic games journalism clickbait fashion. But anyway, I was looking at their trademarks on the website Trademarkia, and I found that Paradox Interactive has 90 trademarks to its name listed there, of which the most recent is Vampire: The Eternal Struggle in 2019, which is a World of Darkness card game. But there were, interestingly enough, no trademarks listed for Victoria. And that was a little bit interesting, so I went on and checked who would own anything in the video game space with the title Victoria. And it turns out that there was a filing for a video game and education piece of software in May of 2020, so last year, by someone called Groth Invest AB. And obviously this isn't Paradox, but a video game with the trademark Victoria from Sweden certainly fits the bill, if you will. And I did a little bit of digging, and apparently Groth is a company that specializes in helping companies with intellectual property disputes and getting the most out of their IP, so to say. And given the fact that Paradox has said that they will be announcing something new at ParadoxCon 2021, they haven't said it's not Victoria 3 as they did with previous Paradox Cons. There has been a filing for the trademark Victoria in the educational and video game space within the last half year or so, and that filing was by a company in Stockholm, where Paradox is based, a company that helps others with their intellectual property. I think that there's a lot of signs pointing to either Paradox indeed planning to announce Victoria 3 at ParadoxCon 2021 or very soon, or they've fallen victim to a patent troll, or rather a copyright troll, which would, of course, be very unfortunate for the legendary series. But yes, I am, based on my limited knowledge in the field, somewhat optimistic about the idea that Victoria 3 will indeed be announced in the near future, and I am that optimism is buoyed by the developments happening in the copyright space. So thank you for the opportunity to speak on this.
Right. Well, I guess one of the other options is that they could be making something in the World of Darkness sort of universe. Obviously, Vampire the Masquerade 2 is gonna come out at some point in this decade, one would
Are you
hope.
sure about that, man?
Well, in this decade. I think I gave them, 10 years is quite a lot of time. It's only 2021. But I think that, that it could be something like that, but I don't think it would be like a big Paradox project, at least not from what from what we've seen from the company so far. I think historical games are sort of their main thing, and Stellaris was sort of their one branch off that isn't necessarily historical. And like the other projects, they do seem to be mostly like sort of side things, and like card games for the World of Darkness series, or like something vampire related that's like a smaller scale strategy game, maybe. But I think that a sort of big project is going to be announced pretty soon, and I kind of don't see it not being a historical title. But you know, it is possible that they just, you know, do a vampire-themed grand strategy game, and you know that's also a thing, or like a completely new IP. That's also fine and well. But you know, knowing Paradox so far, I think that really they tend to focus on historical games quite a lot, and it just seems to make sense that now they've finished everything else, now they sort of bring another card on the table, to use a sort of
That's
card
certainly
game.
an option. That's certainly an option, but it's also worth remembering that Paradox Development Studio and Paradox Interactive are separate in that Paradox Development Studio really focuses on mostly in-house titles, and a lot of the other stuff, like Vampire, is developed by the studios they've acquired or even people they're publishing for. So we'll see what happens. I would like to see Paradox Development Studio go into something like East versus West, but that feels like it would require a lot of the mechanics we've already encountered in Victoria 2 and will probably encounter again in Victoria 3. And in fact, one of the videos I'd like to do with you in the future, especially if this one does well, is what Victoria 3 should be like. Because while Victoria 2 is perhaps one of the best grand strategy games ever made, it is undoubtedly dated and in some ways flawed. And while I'm sure Paradox has their own vision for it, it would nonetheless be worthwhile to perhaps consider what a good version of Victoria 3, a version that the fans have been asking for all these years, would actually look like.
Yeah, totally. We will definitely discuss that. Hopefully after Victoria 3 is announced, or like slightly before. You know, that would be ideal. But so far, like, I feel like we should give a sort of percentage value to this video. Like, how sure are we that what's happening with the trademarks and what's happening generally with Paradox currently is leading up to Victoria 3 being announced, either on PDXCon this year or some type of event, let's say like in 2021 or maybe early 2022.
Personally, I'm usually a pessimistic guy, but I'll go with 70% on this one.
Yeah, I'm very pessimistic when it comes to life in general, because like either you're right or you're pleasantly surprised, and that sounds like a good philosophy to have to me. But so far, based on everything we've been seeing and the fact that they've acquired the trademark, and like again, we're no experts in the area, obviously, but from what little digging we've done, this does seem like just a genuine move on Paradox's behalf to just acquire the trademark, and then just, you know, the next logical step would be to sort of make the game for that. I think if what was the website called again? Groth. And if this company, I mean, the chances of Groth actually making something resembling a video game are like pretty much zero, and I think we both agree on this. Hello?
Groth is definitely not a video game developer in any respect, so it's much more. I believe the likeliest scenario is they have been contracted by Paradox to help them acquire the trademark. Another option, of course, is that they're just some kind of copyright troll that wants to own the Victoria trademark for the sake of blackmailing Paradox or in some way extracting money from all this. What will happen, we'll see. It's an interesting time to be looking at random trademarks on websites. It's good fun.
Had someone told me that, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I would have told him he's crazy. But after what I've seen, you know what? I think you're right. From what I've seen of the company, they don't seem like a sort of, you know, company that's run from some shed in Dorset and just tries to pick up some trademarks and then sell them or bribe people into buying them from them. They do seem like a somewhat legitimate sort of company that could potentially be contracted by others to acquire trademarks for them, specifically Paradox in this case. So with that in mind and with everything that we've found, by the way, the links to everything we've talked about, all the links, all the websites and everything from the Trademarkia and trademark.trademarkia.com to Groth to everything, they'll be down in the description below. And I'll probably pin them in the first comment, but with all of this sort of, with this corpus of links that we found, I would put it around like 85% probably that Victoria will get announced within the next year and a half, maybe 2 at the most. Or
if it's happening, I'll say this: if it's happening at ParadoxCon. I don't think they would just randomly announce it. I think they want to capture the moment that everybody was waiting for. And my only regret is that I don't get to go to Berlin or Stockholm and sit down and watch everybody's faces when the final moment actually comes.
Well, it is a sad reality of the time that we live in currently, but at the very least there will be ample reaction videos on YouTube, probably captured, you know, scripted or not, but yeah, at least there is some sort of compensation for us not being able to go physically. Anyways, I think that's pretty much everything that we had to talk about. So ultimately, based on these trademarks that we were following, Victoria seems to be quite likely, or the Victoria becoming a thing, an actual tangible thing that you can play and buy and touch from Paradox, seems to be a reality. So yeah, well, obviously time will tell. This is, I think, up until literally the day they announce the game, it's all speculation, and like, no matter how certain you are, it's always, you know, there's always a chance that it's just something else and that you're just wrong. But I think as far as like guessing ahead goes, I think we're pretty close to, or I think we're roughly as close as can be, without having like insider information or anything, but just like from pure speculation. I think this is a fairly safe bet that the game is indeed gonna become a thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry, do you have anything else to say?
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, and by all means, if you have anything to add down in the comments below, what you think about the whole situation, you think we're just bullshitting, or you know, there's some actual reasonable evidence behind this, feel free to give us your one piece, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video, and want to stay tuned with the rest of the content that I produce on the channel. Until next time, my name is Juggernaut, here with my friend Kai Yej, and we bid you all a fond farewell. Have fun, take care, and bye-bye.